everybody, my name is Astra and I'm 17. Since I was little, I haven't really had a chance to interact with other people. That's because my mom and dad were too strict. They often got on fights when it was happening. I was in trouble too, so I got a fear of people. I no longer trusted them, even when they were nice to me. Throughout my school years, I was all by myself. I avoided other students and tried to be mediocre to avoid unnecessary attention. I was afraid of answering questions before the class and got scared every time the teacher called my name. I expected nothing but scolding and debunking. I didn't really have any happy memories of my early life. Just my passion for drawing. The energy that I didn't spend on communicating with other people was accumulating, and it made me feel bad. But later, I found myself in drawing. I was developing my drawing skills as much as I could. I used pencils, paints, I tried all the styles, and finally found my own. My life no longer seemed so sad, but when I was 15, terrible things happened. Our neighbor killed my parents. We knew that she was mentally ill, so we tried not to bother her. She used to be a patient in a mental hospital, but for some reason, they released her. She was taking some pills, and they seemed to work just fine. But that day, apparently she forgot to take her pills. My parents were having a fight, a major one. I locked myself in my room, turned on my music, and tried to ignore the loud screams. But then I heard some strange sounds, and it suddenly became quiet. I got scared. I waited for about 5 minutes, and it was still quiet. I came out of my room and saw my parents. They were dead. I immediately called the police. The neighbor's guilt was proven, and she was arrested. I moved out to stay with my aunt. No one could imagine what was going on in my head back then. Relatives tried to comfort me, but their presence was annoying. I wanted them to just leave me alone. I wanted to lock myself. I hated to see people around. I just wanted to be all alone with myself. You probably think it hurt a lot, but you are wrong. I didn't feel anything. I was even glad to some point. No one would ever yell at me ever again or threaten me. I could live a peaceful life, I thought. But things didn't work out this way. I felt ashamed of being glad about my parents' death. And I reproached myself for this. Staying home all the time was turning me into a caveman. I didn't want to go anywhere. My aunt did not love me at all, and it was a burden for her. I got to the point where I didn't even want to take a shower or wash my face. I wasn't taking care of myself, but spending days in my bed thinking about different things. I liked it this way, but my aunt said I was doing wrong and I had to spend at least a little more time with people. And take care of myself, of course. But I turned a deaf ear on that. I simply didn't listen to her. I did not listen to anyone. It might seem I was all alone, but I was talking with my imaginary friends. I've had them since childhood. And at that time, they were especially close. I had no one except them. We were having fun and sorrowing together, and all of that was happening for real. Then I began to get hallucinations, and this was the worst thing. It seemed to me that somebody was knocking on my door and trying to break into my room. I saw my parents scolding me, and it was especially creepy at night. I left the lights on, but it didn't help. In addition to my parents, I saw images from horror stories that I once watched. Scary creatures that wanted to get me. Some even beat me. And when it turned out that I was beating myself, my aunt did not care about me. She brought me food and water, but never tried to talk to me. But when she discovered I was having some issues, she did take me to a psychiatrist. On the way to the psychiatrist, I saw scary creatures sitting behind every corner, and they were watching me. After an interview and a few tests, a psychiatrist said that I had paranoid schizophrenia. Unfortunately, there were no cures to get rid of it completely, but there were some special pills that suppress the disorder. They put me in a cell with other patients just like me. My schizophrenia was progressing. I was having emotional decline. It seemed my feelings were fading. I was turning into an indifferent person. In all respects. Things that used to cheer me up would no longer matter. But then, all of a sudden, some other things began to affect my spirits. I didn't even care that my aunt was hospitalized due to progressive diabetes, but when the nurse dropped my pillow, it almost made me cry. And this no longer seemed strange to me. I got used to it. I also got speech issues. I was so much into my inner world that I didn't even think of approaching other people. I was losing my speaking ability. I could stay silent all day and I was fine with it. Leaving alone my hallucinations, they became more frequent and intense. That was a scary situation, but there were some good things about it. Although I couldn't stop seeing images popping in and out of my head, I decided to make use of them. I asked the nurse for a pencil and a paper and began to create. I drew all the images I was seeing. My creativity has progressed significantly. Creepy and creative images coupled with my drawing skills resulted in magnificent works of art, unusual for ordinary people. It was a routine for me. Through drawing, I expressed my vision of the world and reality. It comforted me. After treatment, I felt better. Gradually, I began to recover. Soon, I returned home and continued drawing. My hobby became the point of my life. I was even invited to participate in an art exposition where my works were praised by experts. Thanks for watching. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Write in the comments whether you've heard of schizophrenia and describe your attitude towards people with this disorder.